first and to date the most successful green jobs training and placement systems. So what are the problems with environmentally challenged areas? We've got asthma and other environmentally borne diseases. We also can include poor educational outcomes because we now know that there are real links between proximity to fossil fuel emissions and learning disabilities in young children. We now know that there's a direct link. Poor kids who do poorly in school, who live in these areas, are much better candidates to afford jail rather than higher education. So there's also a link to incarceration and recidivism, which of course is incredibly expensive. And then there's also a case to listen. Where are we making good investments? Are they in these poor environmental justice communities or not? And so those courts have another issue with regard to how those communities develop. Urban heat island is also another issue. We also have poor and unsustainable single-purpose stormwater management plans. And so that's the one I want to talk about, because that last thing, single-purpose stormwater management plans, is one that we've got to start tackling in this age of very, very difficult economic times, as well as climate change trends that we met. From sinks and toilets, and when it rains, it handles the runoff too. As climate changes our weather patterns, some areas will experience more intense rains with longer dry spells in between. This will stress the existing horticultural infrastructure that is responsible for absorbing stormwater on a much more cost-effective basis now. That's right. Things like green roofing, urban forestry, heightened trees, and green spaces divert water from concrete-based management systems that are typically financed at great cost through 10 to 20-year municipal bonds. New real estate developments are often encouraged by lending practices, zoning laws, and municipal compliance on many levels to execute more inefficient choices when it comes to our shared built environment. Now, I'm not saying at all, let's just completely do away with sewage treatment plants. I am saying that they don't need to be expanded and that their operation and maintenance costs can be reduced by aggressively pursuing a truly green development agenda. The best thing about our green infrastructure approach is that it serves multiple purposes. Reduces urban heat island and the related public health problems, improves real estate values, produces better educational outcomes in children because you're actually literally trying to get rid of some of the public health factors associated with learning disabilities, in particular fossil fuel emissions. Provides many more entry-level jobs and career paths built on accumulated expertise of how plants function in stress situations where we're managing the different species with more than is normally expected in nature. Look 15 years into the future of a city that's continuing on a sprawl-based concrete asphalt-intensive development path. Factor in the low number of entry-level jobs, rising fuel costs, degraded property values around expanded sewage treatment plants and power plants. And nobody wants to live near those. You'll get more people on public assistance and underperforming. You'll get more people in jail and the social services that their families require. You'll get less hope and more despair. You'll wind up with many more tax burdens and less taxpayers to repay the debt that built this problem in the first place. Green development can come if we apply standards of green debt. We need to look and simultaneously regulate private and government developments in ways that can adapt to climate change over the next 30 years and address the social shortcomings of how we've done business for the last 50 years or so. One of the things we do here at FCG is apply a set of tests to develop strategies that look at the longer-term viabilities of the systems at hand. We look at where are the most expensive citizens, people out of jail, in poverty, returning from combat, not just the largest number or of the most profitable people, which are usually your higher income earners. Then we look at the environmental assets that are not being maximized for social and employment needs, as well as water management needs, etc. Because we believe that when you solve your smaller and very expensive problems first, you actually gain new allies and save money in ways that even we are still discovering. Our very first client is actually in northeastern North Carolina, the City State University hired us to help that region develop a green economic development plan. And that region, most folks don't know about it, but it falls right behind the Mississippi Delta and the Florida Everglades for the area in this country that's going to be most impacted by sea level rise over the next couple of decades. And this is a very poor, very rural area, very different from the South Bronx. But what they realized is that they had to deal, with an already depressed economy and the fact that sea level was rising. So hiring us to help them do this green economic plan, we really truly believe that we're going to help them become leaders in climate adaptation strategies. So how do you plan, do real planning around how the communities in that 21 county region are being developed? How do you, think about ways that are going to support all sorts of the new industries that are coming? How do you build that workforce in the future? And because again, we're thinking long term, but what are the short-term gains that we can create right now for the people that are existing as we speak? We were also just approached by Brad Pitt's Foundation, Make It Right Foundation in New Orleans, to help them develop a green jobs training program for a specific streetscaping area in the lower 9. Because again, we want to really honor the fact that there are some beautiful homes being built out there, but we also want to make sure, and Brad Pitt, Make It Right Foundation, are feeling the exact same way, that we want to do it in a way that includes the people that are there and looks at them as assets that can be developed and that also should benefit from the changes in those areas. And so I'm really, really excited about the fact that we really truly believe that, one, you don't have to move out of your neighborhood to live in a better one, but you also have to really think about understanding from a larger perspective that when we solve the smaller, expensive, but are actually more expensive problems first, that you're saving money, in the long run. And it's just been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today, and I hope we can assist you in everything from your investment decisions to bond ratings to raising livability standards everywhere, in Canada in the future. And I thank you so very much for your time.
Majora, one of the really interesting things about this is what we were just talking about previously about the fact that you and I do the same thing, just on different sides of the border. One of the things that I've been pushing for today is we have a systemic addiction in our society here that we need to address. And one of the things that I've been asking the people in the room today to do is to identify what they're married to, what they cannot lose. And I'm finding that, for the most part, that conversation is more difficult to identify than what can we do about it. Do you find the same thing on your side?
You mean what am I not willing to give up?
Yes.
I believe in compromise. I really do. But at the same time, I really think that our role, folks in the position that we're in, who are by nature, I think, by profession, those are really looking to bring out the best in everybody around us, that we really do, our job is to look at the folks that have been the most burdened, by much of the practices that put us in the situation that we're in right now. So I think of, the fact what I'm not willing to compromise on, is the health and well-being of people who have been at the bottom, of the barrel in terms of the pollution-based economy. Like, I really believe that had we, developed a mechanism that didn't depend, on building an economy that was based on burdening poor people, we would have had a clean and green economy a long time ago.
Sure.
And so that's not something that I'm willing to give up. Everything else I can, is negotiable.
In my perspective, because I work with home builders a great deal of the time, in my perspective, I see it as an opportunity for us to rectify the status quo. The status quo does not exist properly in our region. It really doesn't. We have to go.
You're breaking up.
Pardon me? I'm breaking up?
You're breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We actually have Justin Trudeau trying to get in on the line here too, dude.
Okay.
Can I get in touch with you later on?
Yes.
Okay. Tell James I'll call you later.
Hi, Mr. Trudeau. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Annie.